Oakwood Cemetery is the most historically significant cemetery on Chicago's South Side. Buried here are important local African Americans who fought for civil rights to Confederate prisoners of war. From Chicago's Loop, head south on Lakeshore Drive to the Museum of Science and Industry, located at 57th Street in Hyde Park, and then continue on to Hayes Drive, where, across from Jackson Harbor, you'll see the Statue of the Republic. Roland Burris isn't dead, but he has his monument here. He was the first African American elected to statewide office in Illinois, and Rod Blagojevich appointed him to replace Barack Obama for U.S. Senate. There's still room to put more achievements on his monument. Harold Washington. Washington became the first African American to be elected as Chicago's mayor in April 1983. He served as mayor from April 29, 1983 until his death on November 25, 1987. Born at Cook County Hospital, Washington grew up in Bronzeville. In 1939, in a city track meet, Washington placed first in the 110-meter high hurdles event, second in the 220-meter low hurdles event. He was the only black student in his class at Northwestern Law School, and yes, he loved Chicago. Jesse Owens was the youngest of 10 children, born to a sharecropper in Alabama. At 9, he and the family moved to Ohio, where he attended high school and college. Owens achieved track and field immortality in a span of 45 minutes on May 25th in 1935 during the Big Ten meet in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where he set 3 world records and tied a 4th. In the 1936 Olympics, Owens won the 100-meter dash, the long jump, the 200-meter sprint, where he beat Mac Robinson, the older brother of Jackie Robinson, and then finally he won a 4th medal in a relay, the 4x100. Ida B. Wells was an American investigative journalist, educator, early leader in the civil rights movement, and suffragist. She was one of the founders of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and over the course of a lifetime dedicated to combating prejudice and violence and the fight for African American equality, especially that of women, Wells arguably became the most famous black woman in America. In 1893, the World's Fair Columbian Exposition was held in Chicago. Together with Frederick Douglass and other black leaders, Wells organized a black boycott of the fair for its exclusion of African Americans from the exhibits. As a prominent black suffragist, Wells held strong positions against racism, violence, and lynching that brought her into conflict with leaders of a largely white suffrage organization. Perhaps the most notable example of this conflict was her very public disagreement with Frances Willard, the first president of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. Kenesaw Mountain Landis may be the most famous person that I never heard of. He was an American jurist who served as a United States judge from 1905 to 1922, and he was the first commissioner of baseball from 1920 until his death. He's remembered for his handling of the Black Sox scandal, in which he expelled 8 members of the Chicago White Sox from organized baseball for conspiring to lose the 1919 World Series and repeatedly refused their reinstatement requests. Kenny's father, Abraham Landis, was wounded fighting on the Union side at the Battle of Kenesaw Mountain in Georgia, and when his parents proved unable to agree on a name for the new baby, Mary Landis proposed that they call him Kenesaw Mountain. John H. Johnson was an American businessman and publisher. He was the founder of the Johnson Publishing Company, which is headquartered here in Chicago. Johnson's Ebony and Jet magazines are among the most influential African American businesses in media. In 1996, President Bill Clinton bestowed the Presidential Medal of Freedom on Johnson. Mr. Johnson's monument faces the Confederate Mound, which is located in the southwest corner of Oakwood Cemetery. Camp Douglas Located on land owned by politician Stephen A. Douglas, Abraham Lincoln's opponent in the 1860 presidential election, originally served as Union Recruitment and Training Center. However, after the Union victory at Fort Donelson, Tennessee in December 1862, the camp became a major detention facility for Confederate prisoners of war. It had a maximum capacity of 10,000 prisoners, and over the course of the war, more than 26,000 Confederate prisoners passed through its gates. Disease, particularly smallpox and dysentery, and exposure to the elements claimed the lives of more than 4,000 prisoners. The camp established 2 small cemeteries on its grounds, but most of the casualties were buried in Chicago's Old City Cemetery along the shores of Lake Michigan in now Lincoln Park. In 1866, Chicago closed the Old City Cemetery due to its constant flooding, forcing the federal government to find a permanent burial ground for the remains of the Confederate prisoners. A lot within the Oakwood Cemetery was selected, and approximately 4,200 remains were reinterred here between 1865 and 1867. The most prominent features of the plot are the Confederate monument, a 30-foot granite column topped with a bronze statue of a Confederate soldier, a figure based on the painting Appomattox by John A. Elder. At the base of the tapered square shaft are 3 bas-relief images: the call to arms, showing a group rallying for the cause, a soldier's death dream, depicting a fallen soldier and his horse on the battlefield, and a veteran's return home, showing a soldier arriving at a ruined cabin. General John C. Underwood, a regional head of the United Confederate Veterans, designed the monument. Its dedication took place on May 30th, 1895, along with President Grover Cleveland and an estimated 100,000 onlookers. In 1911, the Commission for Marking the Graves of Confederate Dead paid to have the monument lifted up and set on a base of red granite. Affixed to the 4 sides of the base were bronze plaques inscribed with the names of Confederate soldiers known to be buried in the mass grave. 12 individual grave markers commemorate unidentified Union soldiers who died while stationed at Camp Douglas. The rest of the thousands buried in the grave go to unknown. It isn't even known exactly how many there are, but estimates suggest up to 6,000 are buried here. Other sites in the cemetery include Lincoln the Orator statue. This is a replica of the statue created by Charles Mulligan, located in Plano, Illinois, from the Illinois Grand Army of the Republic. Union soldiers are buried here. The Soldiers' Monument was added in Oak Woods in 1876, 5 years after the Chicago fire. Here we see a statue of a single soldier in a frontal pose with an object held in proper right hand close to the body. The sentinel faces north, guarding graves of Union soldiers who fell in the Civil War, whose stones face the east, which is traditional to face the sunrise. There's a wreath of victory in which it is inscribed, Soldiers of Illinois. There are so many more people to be recognized, so many stories to tell, and we just didn't have enough time to do it today. But hopefully we'll have a part 2. Thanks for watching.